On January 8th of 2006, this defendant, Donald Montanez, used a contract to tow as a license to steal the car of Glenn Rich. The evidence will show you that if anybody had the right to resort to self-defense that night, it was Glenn Rich.
2.8 seconds. It's an important number. You're going to hear it a lot in this trial. It's the exact amount of time that Don Montanez had that night to make a decision about whether he was going to be killed, one or two of his employees were going to be killed, and whether or not he was going to be run over by Glenn Rich's car.
I found the spot, and I backed up. It was like 2-3 cars down by a palm tree, and it was a fence, but it wasn't no sign. I made sure it wasn't no sign so we could be okay that night. He was just like pointing his gun, and you could see like he was aiming at Chuck.
How could you see that? Well, how do you know he was pointing at Chuck?
Because I seen it. I seen the whole thing.
Was the laser still on?
Yes, sir.
The evidence that you've reviewed in this case suggests that only one round was fired from that gun.
That's correct.
After the shot was fired, everything, for me anyway, kind of just stopped. And then I turned around and I saw that beam again.
Okay. And was there anyone associated with that beam?
Yes.
Who?
Donald Montanez. I got into a scuffle with an individual that was trying to put that machine that's in the picture on the front passenger side of the vehicle.
Ultimately, what was determined to be the fatal injury or injuries?
This person suffered a gunshot wound off the torso that perforated his liver and left hepatic artery.
Doctor, was Glenn Rich's death, in your opinion, caused by the act of another person?
Yes.
Okay.
State, call your next witness.
State of Florida rests.
In my opinion, he fired as a reaction to the threat coming at him and fired that one round in primal fear as he was trying to get out of the way.
As you rolled off and you're hitting the ground, did you hear a noise?
I heard a gunshot.
You heard a gunshot?
Yes, sir.
So the gunshot then was close to, if not simultaneous, with you hitting the car and rolling off?
I think I was on the ground when I heard the gunshot.
Okay, all right. So you hit the car, the ground, gunshot.
You put yourself into the line of danger from that vehicle by moving in front of that vehicle, knowing full well that Mr. Rich wanted to take that vehicle out of there. Isn't that correct?
I believe so, yes.
When he came forward, Corey was in front of the car, and he said, "Stop, stop." At that point, he hit Corey. I watched Corey go over the passenger side of the hood and windshield. Don motioned with his hand to get out of the way. I jumped, and at the same time, Don jumped and I could hear the shot. It was so fast, it was a simultaneous thing. It happened in seconds.
If you had not moved and dove to your right, what do you believe would have happened?
I'd be dead right now.
At the time Mr. Montanez pulled the gun out, you weren't in fear for your life from that vehicle, were you?
No.
At this time, the defense rests.
On January 8th, 2006, when Donald Montanez pumped a .40 caliber round into the body of Glenn Rich, killing him, Donald Montanez was protecting profit, not persons.
Mr. Pruner says that Mr. Rich would be alive today if he did not have an illegal tow. I say Mr. Rich would be alive today if he only waited. He placed a call to 911. If If the police would have arrived there, they could have straightened it out. Mr. Montanez, if not the legal duty, he had a moral duty to protect the people that were working for him.
If you're looking to think about Mr. Montanez's state of mind, it wasn't 2.9 seconds. When you dissect and look at the evidence closely, his state of mind was developed far, far earlier about what he would do that night.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter, a lesser offense, and he carried, displayed, used, threatened to use, or attempted to use a firearm.
As to count 2, third-degree felony murder, I'll sentence you, sir, to 35 years minimum mandatory.